Digital storytelling is a blend of video, audio, images, and text to convey stories, information, and ideas. Kaya naman isinailalim sa Digital Storytelling and Video Production Workshop ang mga miyembro ng Hauman Association Incorporated sa North Cotabato. Layo nito na ma-develop ang kanilang skills in proper blending of video, audio, images, and texts para mas paigtingin pa ang kampanya in protecting vulnerable children and advocating for the rights of children. Malaki ang tulong ng masabing pagsasanay, lalo na't nagsisimula ng Hauman sa pagpapalakas ng kanilang kampanya kontra child labor sa social media through their Facebook page at kanilang radio program na napapakinggan sa North Cotabato tuwing Huwebes.
At nakamit ang kanilang mga pangarap. Yan, no? So, ang programang ito ay hubog sa inyo ng Hauman Association.
Hambal nila, ang bata kay dapat mag-eskwela. Pero ako, aga pagamata para magkadto sa uma, kag magbulig ubra para makakwarta. Pag uli sa balay, kapoy, kag kisa, mapilasan pa. Ako si Nene, 14 anyos. Sa una, hindi ko ka-eskwela tungod kay gatabang ko mga pras kay nanay kag kay tatay. Pero karon, maka-eskwela na ko tungod sa bulig sang Hauman. Madamong masalamat sa Hauman.
Radio remains a powerful tool in disseminating information lalo na sa mga rural areas. Kaya naman, sinanay ang mga miyembro ng AgriBest Youth Organization Volunteer Group ng Kaanib Foundation Incorporated sa Bukidnon upang matuto ng mga paraan to effectively use the platform sa pagsulong sa kampanya for children's rights. Seryosong nakinig ang mga kabataan sa mga ibinahaging kaalaman ng isa sa mga batikang mamamahayag sa Mindanao na si PJ De La Peña.
Dapat usa ka ginhawa makaya mo na. So next i-barring na to.
Tinuruan ng mga youth leaders sa mga epektibong techniques in anchoring, voice-over, paglagay ng naaayon na music, audio editing, paggamit ng gadgets gaya ng cellphone sa pagkuha ng impormasyon and other materials, and creative effective radio program lineup. Ang workshop ay bahagi ng paghahanda ng Kaanib Foundation Incorporated sa kanilang ilulunsad na programa sa radyo kung saan ibibida ang mga karapatan at talento ng mga bata sa Bukidnon.
Ay nga po mga kapamilya, welcome sa programa Pamilya Movie.
miyembro ng Agribes Youth Organization sa Bukidnon to level up their campaign against child labor online after they undergone a social media and advocacy training facilitated by BuildCA2P Project and ChildFund Philippines. The training includes basic photography, photo editing, and art card making.
Ang akong natunan kay ang unsa pagkuha og sakto nga litrato sa usa ka subject, ang paggamit sa rule of thirds ug ang importansya sa grade sa atong mga camera, especially in our phones.
Ang akong natun-an sa training kay unsaon pag-edit sa Canva.
Akong natun-an sa meeting kay tungod sa social media, kinanglan gid ta mag-ingat sa atong mga post, labon na sa mga naigo ato sa post kay natoy other meaning ana.
Ibinahagi din sa mga youth leaders ang kanilang mga karapatan at ginabayan sila sa mga tamang paraan to positively and effectively use their voice on social media, lalo na sa kampanya against child labor.
Ang akong natunan atong training kung unsa ba paggamit sa social media sa maayong nga pamaagi.
Akong natunan na to about nga sa training kay katong about sa problems or issues nga kahitabo sa palibot.
Ang akong natunan sa training kay dapat tagdon ang responsibilidad sa mga bata.
Ang social media and advocacy training sa Bukidnon, ang una sa serye ng mga advocacy trainings na isasagawa ng BuildCA2P Project at ChildFund Philippines sa iba't ibang parte ng Mindanao ngayong International Year of the Elimination of Child Labor.
Inilunsad ng Department of Labor and Employment Region 10 ang Dolicula Film Festival, a 1-minute digital film competition that encourages the creation of cinematic works sa mga manggagawa nito that articulately interpret Filipino child story laban sa mga child labor activities and artistic integrity. Bilang paghahanda, isinailalim sa 2-day workshop ang mga focal persons ng Dole 10 sa pangunguna ng BuildCA2P that aim to heighten the impact of child labor campaign in the community by integrating film advocacy. Workshop topics include theories of film language, technical exercises, production simulation, editing and story development.
Be inspired of the reality that what we do is not for you or for me, but for the hapless child laborers who need to be rescued and mainstreamed back to where they should be, either in school or sa ilahang family, enjoying and exploring the world in whatever way they can. This Dolicula project is an auspicious beginning to start with for this year.
At the end of the course, ibinida ng 7 grupo ang kanilang Keystone Project, a 1-minute film and narrative structure that anchored on isang araw, isang batang manggagawa. Nagbahagi din ng tips on establishing effective storytelling during the film critiquing activity ang stage and performing arts veteran Raul Prima.
Siya si Raymar, 15 anyos ang panuigon. Usa si Raymar sa mga kabataan nga nagwari sa ilang dapit. Sa iyang hingkod nga pangidaron, nakasinati na siyag bugat nga mga buluhaton, sama sa pagkwari. Aron makatabang sa iyang ginikanan pagkabuot sa ilang adlaw-adlaw nga panginahanglan.
Maagang namulat sa realidad ng buhay sa probinsya si Joman Manampit mula sa tribong Pulangihon sa Quezon, Bukidnon. Kaya naman, sa murang edad, tumutulong na siyang magbanat ng buto para makatulong sa magulang sa kanilang pang-araw-araw na pangangailangan.
Nagaedad akong 5 anyos, uban ako sa ako ang mama o papa, akong ginikanan, na kami, magguna kami, mutanom kami og tubo. Grabe, kainit ang akong natagamtaman, kagutom, o siyempre, nagit ang dapaw. Hangtod nga, naka-experience na gid ko mismo nga ako na gyud ang mutapas mismo sa tubo. So grabe ang init kanang dapaw sa tubo, imo ganang makuha sa imong lawas, kanang muli kag balay nga matulog ka, nga ngilngi kayo ang imong lawas kay dito na wa pa nakuha ang dapaw. Kunya makuha sa imo bitang habol, grabe ka gilok. So hantod nga pagkuan og tapas, nakaya na din ako nga mo apil ako katkat akog damyo kay mukarga na po kog apil. So kana nga mga experience nako, grabe lisod kaayo. Apan sa akong pagpadingkamot kay nasayod ako nga gikan sa akong pagkayod ana, nagyapon koy makakuha gyapon. So makapalit na pud mi og bugas. So dayon pagkahuman ni ana, ang pagdating sa Lunes saka hanggang Biyernes naman, nasa eskwelahan ako.
Dahil sa wagas na pagmamahal sa pamilya, pinagsabay ni Joman ang pagtatrabaho at pag-aaral upang mabigyan ng maginhawang buhay ang pamilya sa hinaharap.
Sa akong elementary po, I was graduated as valedictorian, the same as I am also the first honorable mention in high school. Nag-eskwela ako for 2 years sa CMU, Central Mindanao University, College of Education. I was honored. Na-honor ko ato nga higayuna. I was the college dean's lister at the same time Department Education Honors Student.
Naging mabigat na hamon para kay Joman ang magpatuloy sa kolehiyo dahil sa aspetong pinansyal.
Pwede po ba akong mangguna diya sa inyo ha ma'am? Ako lang pamalit sa akong pagkaon ma'am. In town, ano siya nga, naluoy ang tag-iya kay kita ang po nga sagutan na wala ko nagipaguna. Yang siya yang kaluoy, di akong gihatagag kuan, kanton, di akong gihatagag tinapa, bugas dito. Nakahilak-hilak dito sa akong kagalingon nga si kong baklay paingon sa akong boarding house. Free gyapon ko sa kuan boarding house pero ang akong personal nako nga akong personal nga gastuson mao gyapon na siya. Hantod nga niabot ang panahon nga anak ko nga nagin ako kaya.
Lumipat sa ibang kolehiyo si Joman kung saan panggabi ang klase upang makapaghanap buhay sa umaga.
Sa buntag, mo ni akong trabaho, bulingit kayo ko kay isa ko ka labor. Di kapoy akong lawas, imagine, mag-labor ko sa morning, pagkagabi, eskwela ko.
Sa dami ng hamong sumubok sa katatagan ni Joman, nagbunga na ang ilang taong hirap, sakripisyo at pagsisikap. Dahil natapos niya ang kanyang kursong education sa kolehiyo.
Maningkamot gid ko og eskwela para sa ako ang pamilya. Mao na nga sila gid akong ginalanta amo ang managsuon. Unsi tanan ako ang kinamanghuran.
Unang nagtrabaho si Joman sa munisipyo ng Bukidnon bilang peso staff. Nakapagturo din siya sa 2 paaralan sa Bukidnon bilang IP teacher.
Ang akong kahimtang dito makayong kog lisod pero akong kadasig naagyapon kay luoy kaayo ang akong mga katribo.
Hanggang dinala siya ng kanyang angking galing at talino sa isang pribadong kumpanya. Sa ngayon, nakabase na sa Quezon City si Joman bilang isang customer business specialist.
Puntahan na ikahay ko kaniyo, labi na ang mga sulad ko, mga kabatanunan, na mga sulad ko manubo o hangkaypad na tribo. 7 tribes o Bukidnon. Maura ni ako maistorya sa inyo ha. Ayaw ka mo ka-discourage sa ato ang sitwasyon kung pobre kita. Nasayod kita na ang pobre o ang kapobrehon dili kini babag sa ato ang kalambuan o tumong og tinguha nga makabot nato sa ato ang kinabuhi. Kay nasayod kita na kini ang atong sitwasyon o sa kini ka-challenge nga makahatag sa ato og kusog nga sa atong pagpaningkamot. Mga kabatanunan, mga sulod ko, mamanuon ta og diskarte. So mo na isa sa importante sa ato nga naagitay pangandoy nga kabuton sa unahan para aduna kitay kadasig sa pagpaningkamot sa ini na problema. Nato kalimtahan, mangayo gid kita og giya gid sa Ginoo. Ang pinaka-importante giya sa Ginoo, nasa Dios ang awa, nasa tao ang gawa.
Lubos na ikinagalak ng ating munting programa ang natanggap na larawan mula kay Nanay Erlene. kung saan hawak ng kanyang talented daughter na si Mika ang iginuhit nitong logo ng bata, ang bida na mahilig mag-drawing matapos ang online class nito. Maliban sa nakakatulong ito na ma-develop ang imagination and creativity ni Mika, isang therapy din di umano ang pagdodrawing kay Mika na may sakit na Blount's disease ayon kay Nanay Erlene. Kaya naman, bilang pasasalamat, ating ibinida syempre sa ating Facebook page ang artwork ni Mika na nakatanggap ng papuri mula sa netizens.
Thank you so much for featuring my drawing! Maraming salamat po!
Pangako ni Nanay Erlene kay Mika na palagi silang nakasuporta ng kanyang tatay upang matupad niya ang kanyang mga pangarap.
Maagang pumupunta sa paaralan si Teacher Jocelyn sa Dologon National High School Annex sa Barangay San Roque, Maramag, Bukidnon Province. Agad niyang inaayos sa mga learning modules na ipamamahagi sa kanyang mga estudyante. Aminado si Teacher Jocelyn na marami sa kanyang mga estudyante ang nahihirapan sa bagong sistema ng pag-aaral. Kaya sinisiguro niya na ang gagawing modules ay mas madaling maintindihan ng kanyang mga mag-aaral. Pero bukod sa mga alituntunin sa paaralan, nababahala si Teacher Jocelyn sa kalagayan ng kanyang mga estudyante. Ayon sa kanya, ang ilan sa mga mag-aaral ay napilitan ng magtrabaho para makatulong sa pamilya.
Lisod na sa ila sa una, samot pa karon nga sila mismo ug ang ilang ginikanan maura ang kanabang naa sa crucial role sa learning. Walay na guide. Naglisod pa gani nga naa ang teacher adtong panahona, karon pa bakaha nga sila na lang. 7 ka mga bata ang formal gyud istorya sa ako nga ma'am muundang nako. Lisod kaayo ma'am, dili mi kasabot sa instruction, wala mi mapangutanahan. Plus kanang dili pod pwede nga dili sila manarbaho kay module ang mauna. Mas worse karon ikumpara sa normal nga sitwasyon.
Isa si Makmak sa child laborers na nag-aaral sa Dologon National High School. Nagtatrabaho siya bilang part-time laborer sa isang plantasyon ng tubo. Ayon kay Mark, bukod sa pagputol ng mga damo, minsan nag-i-spray din siya ng fertilizer.
Yan po nagkarga ninyo, lisod kayo bugat kayo, dagko kayong tapog, di ka pareha. Kapalitan, trabaho ka karon, then Lunes niya matunong bitawag tig uli og module. Ana niya, dili lang ka mo trabaho kay imo magi mauli man jud kag module.
Ayon kay Teacher Jocelyn, sa 373 na enrolled students ngayong school year, mahigit sa 200 na mga batang engaged sa child labor o kaya working child. Upang matulungan ng mga bata sa kanilang pag-aaral, nagsasagawa ng mga tutorial at remedial classes ang mga guro.
Ipaadto mi kanang gitawag nga home visitation gi-strengthen pag ginag-ayo kung gikinahanglan nga ang maestra halos kada adlaw na lang gid naa sa balay do kanang sa bata aron ma-monitor ang iyang kalisod, ipaadto gid mi ana do wala gid hino namo buhatan nga kada adlaw na ami didto kay naman sad mi pambuhaton diri sa school. Tawagan ang bata, tan-aw ang iyang achievement, paghatag ana pag-uli sa iyang module gipang-check na sa mga maestra unsay kakulangon sa bata.
Maging ang mga magulang ng mga bata ay inorganisa din ni Teacher Jocelyn at tinuruan na makapag-ipon sa pamamagitan ng Community Managed Savings and Credit Association. Kada linggo, naguhulog ng 20 hanggang 100 pesos sa kanilang savings account ang mga magulang. Sa isang taon, nakakaipon ang bawat isa sa kanila ng tag 5,000 pesos na siya ring ginagamit nila upang makabili ng mga gamit sa eskwela ng kanilang mga anak.
Experience na ko sa una nga kung trabaho ka sa ilalom sa siga sa adlaw, luoy ang mga bata, ikaduha, pag makatrabaho naman gud ang mga bata, makadawat sila sa ilang kaugalingon income, murag di na sila ganahan mo eskwela. So sa bisan tudog sa kalisod, nalingkamot jud ko nga kuan dili na sila mapareha sa ako kay luoy kay ang mga bata gyud. Sa savings, ako gid kay siya ikatabang. Kay kanang na-time nga manginahanglan sila na sila problema sa eskwelahan. Kanang wala kay kadaganan, gawa sa grupo. Nagpasalamat din ko.
Bilang isang guro, nais ni Teacher Jocelyn na makitang maging matagumpay sa buhay ang kanyang mga estudyante.
No child shall be left behind. Kana bang makater nila kay recognize bayan nato nga ang matag bata naagyoy katungod sa edukasyon. Kanang dili siya ma-deprive kay kung kana lang unta mahimos atong kaugalingon nga barangay sa atong komunidad, kalami ba kay tan-awon nga mga 5 years gikan karon magtan-aw tas atong mga kabataan nga bisag nagtubo sa pobre nga lugar, mga malamposon.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Mayang magiliw, pelas ng silanganan, alab ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupig, di ka pa sisil. Sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong bughaw, may dilag ang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang kislap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagniningning. Ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magdidilim. Lupa ng araw ng walhatit pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya ng pag may mga api ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Children are still too young to cast their votes, but it does not mean that they do not have a say in choosing the country's political leaders. As the May 2022 election draw nears, we will stress the need for candidates to look into policies that affect children and make sure they are not left behind in development efforts. Magandang araw and welcome po sa ating Vote for Our Children's Future live virtual event. Layunin po ng ating munting programa ang matulungan ng ating mga botante to choose leaders who will be championing children's health, education, protection, and development. Ito po ay handog ng BuildCA2P at ChildFund Philippines kasama ang ating mga partner agencies to raise awareness against child labor. Ikinalulugod po nating makasama sa ating virtual event si Mr. Bong Binondo, ang Regional Coordinator of Regional Subcommittee for the Welfare of Children Region 11, Attorney Krishna Samantha Caballero, ang Provincial Election Supervisor ng COMELEC Davao de Oro, Mr. Ramon Baliano III, ang Head ng Ateneo de Davao University Blue Vote, Miss Belia Eustaquio, ang ating BuildCA2P Project Head, and syempre ang ating Assistant Secretary na si Alexa Daniel Dayanghirang ng National Youth Commission, Commissioner for Mindanao. At ang ating Pinoy Big Brother Celebrity Edition 2 big winner, ang ating kaagreng Ruben Gonzaga na magbabahagi po ng kanyang kwento bilang isang dating child laborer. Syempre, makakasama rin po natin ngayon, live tayo sa ating Zoom. Kasama rin po natin ang ating mga partners na mga CSOs. Good afternoon po sa ating mga membro po ng Kauman Association Incorporated, Kaaning Foundation Incorporated. Syempre, andyan din po ang mga membro ng Kaugmaon for Children's Rights and Social Development. Kasama rin po natin ang COMELEC Davao de Oro. Kaway-kaway po tayo dyan. Ayan. At ang mga estudyante at saka mga teachers pa mula sa Ateneo de Davao University. Kasama rin po natin sa ating virtual event this afternoon ang mga representante ng National Youth Commission and of course ang ating ChildFund family at mga youth leaders mula sa Agribest Youth natin dyan sa Impasugong sa Bukidnon. Good afternoon po sa inyo. Mari nyo pong i-on ang inyong mga camera para makita naman po ng ating mga online friends ang inyong mukha. At syempre, panitlin lang po natin nakamute ang inyong mga audio. Kaway-kaway po tayo! Ayan, maraming salamat po sa inyong pagsama sa aming makabuluhang talakayan ngayong araw. Ngayong araw po ay ipinagdiriwang din po natin ang espesyal na araw ng mga ina. Kaya naman po, Happy Mother's Day po sa lahat ng mga nanay, mama, mommy, o kung ano man tawag nyo sa kanila, no, na nanonood ng ating virtual event. Mamaya po, 3 ina po ang magbabahagi ng kanilang suporta para sa ating kampanya kontra child labor. And syempre, sabay po rin tayong napapanood ngayon ang ating virtual events sa ating Facebook pages ng ating mga partner CSOs and agencies gaya na lang po ng Kauman Association Incorporated, Kaugmaon, and of course, ang Kaaning Foundation. Pasend naman po ng heart at care icon dyan para sa ating programa ngayong araw, lahat po ng nanonood sa ating Facebook Live. And sabay-sabay po din nating saksihan mamaya ang formal na paglulunsad ng ating Pledge of Support for a Child Labor-Free Philippines. Ito po ay isang online and offline campaign to show public support for a collective effort to end child labor. Every child deserves a peaceful and secure childhood and a chance to go to school. But this is still being denied to around 152 million children around the world who are engaged in child labor. With this, the United Nations General Assembly has unanimously adopted a resolution declaring 2021 as the International Year of the Elimination of Child Labor. Narito po ang mga programa at inisyatibo ng ChildFund Philippines at BuildCA2P ngayong International Year of the Elimination of Child Labor.
ChildFund Philippines under Building Capacity, Awareness, Advocacy, and Programs or BuildCA2P intensifies its campaign to take urgent measures to uphold the children's rights, including efforts to prevent and respond to child labor cases. BuildCA2P Project, funded by United States Department of Labor, aims to capacitate the civil society organizations to combat child labor in crop agriculture, particularly for banana, coconut, corn, and rice sectors in the provinces of Bukidnon, Davao del Norte, and North Cotabato. As we continue to promote the protection and advancement of children's rights, we partnered with 3 local civil society organizations, namely Kaugmaon for Children's Rights and Development, Halad Umaalang sa Nasod, and Kaaning Foundation Incorporated. To better understand the scope of child labor, especially in the rural areas, BuildCA2P, through its partner Ateneo de Davao University, train the CSOs to conduct community research to better understand the prevalence and factors related to child labor. Gathered data will also be shared to the Department of Labor and Employment and Department of Social Welfare and Development so they can provide the necessary interventions to the profiled child workers. The result of the research will be used to determine suitable basis for initiating programs and interventions for the child laborers and their families. To date, more than 2,400 children engaged and at risk to child labor have been profiled by the CSOs. BuildCA2P also tailored approaches to address the challenges in the communities. These include strengthening community-based organizations by training them in crafting and implementing policies to help address child labor, giving livelihood opportunities for parents, and creating community savings and loan program to help sustain their livelihood projects. BuildCA2P, through its partner CSOs, help establish and reactivate the community-based child protection group in the barangay level, CSOs are leading the community volunteers and other stakeholders in realizing their roles and responsibilities in establishing child protection and child labor-free policies. The project launched Bata Ang Bida, an online talk show stream over BuildCA2P Facebook page. The show features stories about children, parenting, and health tips, and highlights efforts of our partner organizations in implementing child protection and anti-child labor campaigns and policies. Along with this, BuildCA2P also launched the I Stand Against Child Labor campaign. The campaign aims to gather message of support from government officials, celebrities, and child rights advocates to become key influencers in promoting the rights of the child and strengthening anti-child labor advocacies. BuildCA2P encourages children's participation through Youth Speak, an online campaign giving young people a platform to voice their opinion on children's issues. ChildFund BuildCA2P, together with Probe Media Foundation Incorporated, have trained partner organizations, Kaugmaon for Children's Rights and Social Development, Kaani Foundation Incorporated, and Hauman Association Incorporated to produce advocacy materials that can be used as a tool to increase awareness and mobilize people to take actions against child labor. Aside from conducting community meetings, CSOs are now utilizing radio and social media as their platforms to widen their advocacy reach. BuildCA2P also allocated funds for the COVID-19 response for covered areas in Mindanao to ensure that children, especially those who are engaged as farm laborers, are given assistance to help mitigate the socio-economic impact to their family's income. BuildCA2P has initiated mitigating measures to help the families of child laborers by providing them food packs. A total of 3,299 households receive food packs from the target beneficiary areas. Currently, BuildCA2P, through its partner CSOs, is distributing school supplies to our beneficiaries in Bukidnon and North Cotabato.
Maraming mga programa at proyekto pa po ang ipapatupad ng ChildFund Philippines at BuildCA2P para sa ating mga child laborers at sa kanilang mga magulang. Kaya naman pa-like icon naman po dyan para sa ChildFund Philippines at BuildCA2P. Ayan, maraming salamat po sa nag-send po ng like icons natin. And samantala, 900,000 ng mga bata ang napilitang tumigil ng kanilang pag-aaral upang magtrabaho. Ayon po yan sa 2011 report ng Philippine National Statistics Office. At ang bilang na yan ay pinangangambahang pataas pa dahil sa epekto ng COVID-19 pandemic at ang hamong dala ng blended learning na ipinapatupad ngayon ng Department of Education. Tunghayan po natin ang simpleng hiling ng batang si Rainiel mula sa Davao del Norte na sa murang edad ay hindi inaadya ang peligrong dala ng pagtatrabaho, makatulong lamang sa kanyang pamilya.
Maaga pa lang ay pumupunta na sa sakahan si Rainiel upang tulungan ang ama nito sa pagsasaka. Nakatoka siya ngayon sa pagtabas ng damo. Iniinda ni Rainiel ang pagtatrabaho sa ilalim ng init ng araw. Minsan, inaabot siya ng mahigit 10 oras sa sakahan. Kwento ni Rainiel, muntikan ng maputol ang kanyang daliri nang naaksidente siya habang nagtatrabaho. Ang 8 sa 9 na magkakapatid si Rainiel. Ang mga nakakatandang kapatid ay may kanya-kanya na ring pamilya, kaya siya ang umaagapay sa kanyang mga magulang. Tumutulong din siya sa mga gawaing bahay. Ayon kay Rainiel, nahihirapan siya ngayon sa kanyang pag-aaral dahil hindi siya makasabay sa modular learning. Di raw kasi niya maintindihan ang ibang leksyon. Di rin siya matulungan ng kanyang mga magulang dahil di rin nakapagtapos ng pag-aaral. Nasa grade 6 na ngayon si Rainiel at pangarap niyang maging sundalo para matulungan ang mga magulang at makapaglingkod sa bayan.
Gusto na ako mangod mag-eskwela. Hindi ko gusto nga ingani sila sa kuha, matrabaho sa basakan.
Isa si Reniel sa mga batang manggagawa sa Davao del Norte na tinutulungan ngayon ng ChildFund BuildCA2P Project at ng partner organization na Kaugmaon for Children's Rights and Social Development Incorporated. Isa sa mga layunin ng BuildCA2P Project na matulungan ang mga batang manggagawa sa pamamagitan ng educational assistance at livelihood projects para sa kanilang mga magulang.
Kapay po ang ChildFund BuildCA2P at ang ating partner organization na Kaugmaon for Children's Rights and Social Development Incorporated sa pagkamit ng pangarap ni Reniel para sa kanyang sarili at sa kanyang pamilya. Pa-care icon naman po kayo dyan para kay Reniel. Ayan, maraming salamat po. Isang taon na nga lang mula ngayon ay gaganapin na po sa May 9, 2022 ang national elections. Pero nakapagrehistro ka na ba? Kung wala pa, narito po ang paraan upang makaparehistro bilang botante sa panahon ng pandemya.
Magandang araw! Isang taon na lang bago ang halalan 2022. At kung hindi ka pa nakapagrehistro, narito ang mga paraan sa pagpaparehistro. Tandaan, maaring mag-register sa Martes at Sabado lamang. Narito ang mga requirements para sa voters registration at transfer of registration. Kailangan ng at least isa sa mga sumusunod na valid IDs. Narito naman ang mga procedures. Number 1, i-download ang application form and fill out 3 copies manually. Ngunit, huwag muna itong permahin. Number 2, huwag kalimutang magsuot ng face mask at face shield sa pagpunta sa pinakamalapit na COMELEC office. Number 3, isanitize ang kamay at dumaan sa foot bath. Number 4, kailangan i-accomplish ang health declaration form at pirmahan ang iyong application form gamit ang inyong sariling ballpen. Number 5, follow physical distancing requirements. Number 6, kailangan isanitize ang kamay bago at pagkatapos gamitin ang signature pad at fingerprint scanner. Number 7, maaari lamang hubarin ang face mask at shield kapag nag-picture taking na during the capture of biometrics data. At number 8, kailangang umalis agad sa opisina ng COMELEC pagkatapos ng transaksyon. Para sa karagdagang detalye at further assessment, please contact your nearest Commission on Elections or COMELEC office. Maaari ding bumisita sa official website ng COMELEC, comelec.gov.ph o mag-email sa eid@comelec.gov.ph.
Ang gusto nako tagaan og pagtagad sa mga leader kay ang pagpakusog sa balaod batok sa child labor. Kay karong panahon na dagaan na kabataan, nga bisag dapat nga ga-eskwela, naana sa umahan nagatrabaho.
Ako at ang ating kapwa kabataan ay umaasa na marinig ng ating mga kandidatong tatakbo sa larangan ng politika na maisalin sa kanilang plataforma ang pagprotekta sa kapakanan ng kabataan, kagaya ng child labor, child abuse, sexual harassment at iba pang labag sa karapatang pangbata. Gawing ligtas ang pag-asa ng ating bayan.
Ang gusto na ko tagaan o pagtagad sa mga leaders mao ang livelihood sa mga gilitanan. Ay kini dakong tabang suporta sa pag-eskwela sa ilang mga bata.
The Commission on Election has already recorded over 58 million registered voters for the 2022 polls as of January 2021. Narito po si Attorney Krishna Samantha Caballero, ang Provincial Election Officer ng COMELEC Davao de Oro upang magbigay ng mga paalala sa pagpili ng mga ihahalal nating lider ng bayan.
Okay, good afternoon. May 2022 election is fast approaching. And this is the only time na itong voting rights natin is very important because this is part of our electoral system. So we have, this is one of the most, one fundamental political rights that every citizen has. So in exercise of our right of democracy, lahat tayo we have the right, especially those of voting age, to cast their votes on this upcoming election. Why is it important for us to cast this vote? Because this is the only time that we are going to choose the kind of government na gusto nating magpatakbo sa atin for the next 6 years for presidential election and 3 years for our local elections. So it is very important na tayo as being a citizen of this country are going to go out and cast our votes. So tayo ngayon, we are very opinionated, especially our youth, no? Ating mga millennial, our Generation Z. We are very opinionated. It comes to social media or in other platforms. So this is the time that they're going to put those opinions, diba, in their votes. So they will cast their votes, so they will be heard. This is one of the time. This is also the time that their voices will be heard. Dun sa pagpili nila kung sino yung mga sa tingin nila karapat dapat dun sa ilalagay nila into that particular post in government office. Then, yung electoral process naman natin is, of course, if you're going to be to the technical side, is of course very important that they must be a registered voter. So right now we barely have 5 months, less than 5 months, no, until the end of our voters registration. So yung mga tayo, your mga youth or other citizens natin na hindi pa nakapag-register, they have to register themselves in order for them na ma-exercise nila itong right of suffrage or their right to vote, no? Kasi useless naman na may opinion tayo, 'di ba? May ano tayo and hindi tayo mag-cast ng vote. Paano ka hindi ka magka-cast ng vote if you're not a registered voter? Then ganun pa rin naman the basic will be, if you're going technical again, is that anong oras yung pagka-cast ng vote, from 6 in the morning, depende yan siya. Pero ngayon, considering na meron tayong pandemic, maybe voting hours will be extended. So, dito naman, they will be informed ahead of time if there will be certain changes considering itong pandemic na hinaharap natin ngayon. However, other than the technical process, no, itong voting process kasi, this is very important for our voters, no? That they have to think, they have to be very smart in casting their vote. They have to look into those particular candidates na they will go check into dun sa kanilang platform of government of what they can offer being a candidate, no, to us, to the citizen, no. And they also have to think, tayo ng mga botante, tingin din tayo ng mga track records, kung ano yung mga track records na ginagawa nung ating mga nagpapapili na mga kandidato. Tingnan natin kung, kasi there are a lot of candidates who are very sweet talkers, magaling magsalita. So they have to look into kung ito bang salita nila, naglalakad ba to? Do they walk their talk? Diba? Yun ba yung sinasabi nila? So kailangan tingnan natin kung ito bang mga nasasabi nila, mga pinapangako nila, ginagawa ba nila. So ito din tong isa mga considerations kasi we have to be very critical. This is the only time na we are very empowered as voters na tayo yung mamimili. This is one of an exercise, diba, ng ating democracy, our freedom to choose kung sino yung sa tingin natin na karapat dapat na pumili. And we really have to check also sa pagpili ng atin ng mga candidates natin is what kind of advocacy do they have, what can they offer to us, diba? Kung ano yung magandang magagawa nila para sa atin. This kind of decision you will make will surely help the kind of political atmosphere we are going to enjoy for the next 3 years or 6 years, being this will be a presidential election. This would be just, again, I'm here to encourage everyone to participate, to vote wisely this coming May 2022 election. So we have to exercise this freedom of choice natin, no? Let our voices be heard through our votes to be cast during this election, no? So that we will be able to put the right choice natin, no, the right candidate, who we think and who we feel na would really be of help dun sa ating government, na sila yung magpapatakbo ng ating government. And yeah, you have to think smart. You have to be very critical in choosing this kind of candidate. You have to be wise in choosing this candidate na sa tingin mo not only a sweet talker but the one who really has a track record of doing what most citizen needs, or what most of us needs, na makatulong talaga not only for the few but for the majority. So I think that would be one of yung mga tips siguro na to encourage, no, everyone to vote this coming May 2022 election. May 2022 election, no. Not only na they will consider especially for our youth, no, na hindi pa nakapag-try to cast their vote, no. So this would be the time na that their voices will be heard.
Maraming salamat po, Attorney Caballero. The COMELEC is targeting to have 4 million new voter registrants bago po ang deadline sa September 30, 2021. Kaya naman po sa mga hindi pa nakapag-register, lalo na sa ating mga kabataan, magparehistro na po kayo and let your voice be heard through your votes. Kaya nga ang sabi sa atin ni Attorney Caballero. And syempre, pasend naman po ng like icons dyan para sa mga registered voters na natin. Ayan, mag-flood likes na po tayo. Ayan, maraming salamat po. Break muna tayo sa ating makabuluhang talakayan at mag-enjoy muna tayo. Siguraduhin naka-on po ang inyong mga camera at sabay-sabay tayong makijam sa inihandang inspiring performance ng Edkila siblings na naitapok na rin po natin sa ating Bida ang Bata segment ng ating munting programang Bata ang Bida. Kaya virtual palakpakan and heart icons po para kay Mickey and Nico.
Hello everyone! I'm Maki. And I am Mika. And we are the Edkila siblings. We are here to sing you a song. We hope to inspire you all.
La 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 la. Kada hakbang sa lupa'y para akong inaanod, nalulunod sa batikos ng mundo, sa kung ano lamang ang kaya ko.
Pigang-piga na sa mga problemang di masolusyonan agad, parang wala nang bukas. Pwede bang umiwas?
Hinahanap ang sarili ngunit di nakakayanin sa ligaw na dinadaanan ko. Saan na to patungo? Saan ako patungo?
Dahan-dahan nating simulan muli ang paghakbang. Dahan-dahan tumingin sa salamin upang makita ang ating kagandahan. Dahan-dahan iangat ang muka upang masilayan ang payapang kalangitan. O pagod ka na, pero di ka nag-isa, kaya't lumaban ka at sabihin, ako naman muna.
Kada langhap sa hangin, pansin ko na lagi nalang usok. Walang malinis, halos puro polusyon. Parang ako raw na konsumisyon.
Gulong-gulo ang isip
ng malalim at isipin ng mabuti ang mga desisyon ilalaan para sa kinabukasan nang makapunta sa paroroonan.
Dahan-dahan tumingin sa salamin upang makita ang ating kagandahan. Dahan-dahan iangat ang muka upang masilayan ang payapang kalangitan. O pagod ka na, pero di ka nag-isa, kaya't lumaban ka at sabihin, ako naman muna.
Thank you for listening, everyone. Keep safe.
Wow, maraming salamat sa pagbabahagi ng inyong talento, Mickey and Miko. The original song created by TikTok's young star Angela Can sends a message about self-affirmation and urges to acknowledge challenges and to move forward with the help of our loved ones. Keep your love and care icons coming po ha, para sa ating Edkila siblings and syempre sa ating mga minamahal na mga bata. And good afternoon lang po sa ating mga nanay na nakatune in sa ating live po ngayon sa ating Facebook streaming, no, sa ating BuildCA page. Hello po sa inyo and happy Mother's Day po ulit sa inyo. Pasend nga po ng heart icons para sa ating mga nanay. Samantala, next Sunday na po, magsisimula na po ang ating bagong Sunday Family Banding ang Dolecula Film Festival. Dolecula is a 1-minute $10 wide digital film competition na magpapakita ng iba't ibang sitwasyon ng mga child laborers. Ang pelikulang tampok sa Dole Film Festival ay gawa mismo ng mga focal officers ng Department of Labor and Employment Region 10 na sumailalim po sa video advocacy training ng BuildCA noong Marso.
Ang gusto nako patagaan og pagtagad sa mga leader kay ang pagtagad sa mga bata nga dili paliton ang mga school supplies ug ang mga bata nga dili pa ka-eskwela tungod sa kakulangon sa kwarta. Labi na karon nga naay pandemya ug ang ilang mga ginikanan walay mga trabaho.
Ang gusto nako matagan og pagtagad sa mga leader kay ang kaayuhan sa mga bata. Maaksyonan unta nila ang mga problema o isyu ug mahatag ang kinahanglan sa usa ka bata.
The Council for the Welfare of Children is the focal interagency body of the Philippine government for children. It is mandated to coordinate the implementation and enforcement of all laws, formulate and monitor and evaluate policies and programs and measures for children. Narito po ngayong hapon makakasama natin si Mr. Bong Binondo, ang Regional Coordinator of Regional Subcommittee for the Welfare of Children Region 11 to enlighten us more about the dynamic leadership in ensuring a child-friendly and child-sensitive society.
Good afternoon, Ma'am Michelle. Salamat kaayo. Good afternoon for all the viewers also. Sa tanan nga nagtanaw na minaw. I'm Bong Binondo, Regional Coordinator of CWC, Council for the Welfare of Children. So in Region 11, we have already working with the Department of Labor. We have profiled already in 2018-2019 around 10,083 child laborers, no? But for 100% of these profiled child laborers are already referred for necessary services, and 58% of these referred child laborers are already provided with services like DOLE, the DepEd, the SWD, TESDA, DTI, and other agencies. No, other services that are not yet provided are some of the needs of minimal na lang dito sa child laborers. So in 2021, for this year, the Regional Child Labor Committee through our Department of Labor targeted 8,173 child laborers to be profiled, no, until September 2021. So there are various reasons why our children engage into child labor. No, we have a lot of documents, our local state of children's report, our situational analysis that would speak about their plight and situations, and some of it are in media or in quad media or tri media being reported. So the government, what the government does in addressing this concern, like us in as an oversight committee, as a regional subcommittee for the welfare of children, working with the regional child labor committee chaired by Dole, and also vice chaired by the DSWD 11, we do coordination, coordination in the planning, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation of the policies and programs of child labor. In terms of all other agencies who are implementing also with this initiative. Aside from that, the committee also do a lot of public advocacy in child protection, but in particular with Dole, we do also support, collaborate in advocacies on ending child labor, and even the researches result, and other partners, CSOs, NGOs who would like to partner with us, we link them to our networks. No, aside from that, our agency is also providing technical assistance when you talk about how to plan, how to analyze their situation, the data management, how to monitor and evaluate, no, and provide capacity building, especially to those duty bearers who really need technical assistance in handling child protection and child labor cases. No, and lastly, for the government for us as an interagency body who coordinates the non-government, government, private, public agency, annually our local government will be under the LCPC functionality assessment. No, this is a structure where the local chief executive is the chairperson, so they will be putting the agenda of children and other issues in their plans, budgets, and programming. So aside from that, they are also subject for an annual mandatory child-friendly local governance audit, which is one requirement of the Seal Good Local Governance. This is a measurement where we could look into the local government if their governance is a responsive child-friendly governance, putting children in the center of their agenda. No, so aside from that, the role today we talk about, because this is all about the program, in relation to the program, right? This afternoon, what would be the particular role of the voters for the in selecting leaders? No, number one, there are a lot of advocacies that we wanted. We are looking for leaders who are champions of children's rights, meaning it's a way of life. No, it's not just political, but it's their way of life of helping children and putting children into their agenda. You know, a priority agenda in the planning, programming, and budgeting, whether our elected officials or being identified officials as voters working with the legislative or executive branch of our government, you know, locally, both locally and national. So for us also, voters, our right to suffrage is to engage public consultation and forums, no, so that our leaders also have big ears also to listen to our plight, to our situation, especially those vulnerable families, women, and children who are into child labor. So as voters also, we want a leader that would put at least these 5 agendas, no, his mindset or her mindset as a leader we want to choose is they can provide interventions for a quality of life of the family and the children. Second would be providing interventions that all children must be well nourished and healthy. No, and again, not only that, they must access also quality education. All children. No, that's why tinatawag natin at child laborer because one of the element is that nagtatrabaho siya pinaka-hinto na ng pag-aaral. So we wanted them to be in school to develop their full potential. Then the fourth one would be that we hope and pray that this the mindset of a leader that we chose is that katubang ang iyang una that all children will be safe and protected in all settings, no, home, school, community, especially this plight of vulnerable children na pwedeng maabuso and ma-exploit. And the last point that we want to share with you is that leaders will provide venues for children for a meaningful participation where they could express, abuse their opinions, pinakikinggan, narinig at inaksyonan. So yun yung mga gusto nating makita sa isang leader, and we need really a criteria in choosing a champion to fight and advance and promote the children's rights and welfare. Now, for this afternoon, together with all the members agency of the Regional Subcommittee for the Welfare of Children, including the Regional Child Labor Committee and other government entities and NGOs who work for children, we would like to invite you to join us for the prevention, protection, and prosecution of child laborers and their violators through public advocacy and partnership building. In ending child labor, we can do this if we are together and if we work, we collaborate, we communicate, we talk, and we allow them to experience our one united effort in advancing and protecting children in our region and in Mindanao. Daghang salamat ug maayong hapon sa nan. Salamat, Ma'am Robin.
Daghang salamat, Sir Bong. And kami po sa BuildCA2P and ChildFund Philippines commit to work with CWC to create an environment that enables children to develop their full potentials. Pa-heart icon naman po kayo dyan para sa ating programa at sa mga programa po ng Council for the Welfare of Children. At ngayong araw nga ang ating ipinagdiriwang ang Mother's Day. Kaya 3 empowered mothers ang nagpadama po ng kanilang pagmamahal sa ating mga bata sa paraan ng pagsuporta sa ating I Stand Against Child Labor campaign.
Hey guys, my name is Mommy Gray. I'm a full-time mom and an entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur, I think I can help with stopping child labor by first making sure that our workplace is a safe environment for all. We should also be applying very strict recruitment measures so that we can make sure that our employees are in the right and legal age bracket. As a mom and as a member of the community, I think we should all be proactive in ending child labor. We should report to the right authorities if we see children being exploited in workplaces and even in their own homes. Child labor is a very serious problem worldwide, and adults and children alike could all benefit if we help stop it together. My name is Mommy Grayan Mendoza Oraya, a mom, and I stand against child labor.
Child labor is exploitation of children. There are 265 million or more child laborers globally. Oftentimes, this is not seen as a problem because it is considered part of the culture or activities of children to help their families. This calls for a wide, intensive, collaborative, and appropriate intervention to address the serious violations of children's rights. I am inviting everyone to participate in any activity or various activities to address child labor. I am Flory May Takang, the Executive Director of Kaugmaon and a social worker by profession, would like to say, I stand against child labor.
1 in every 10 children worldwide is a victim of child labor. Instead of schools, poverty has trapped children into factories, mines, and farms. This is a human rights issue that touches on the very core of our humanity. In this day and age, when children continue to bear the brunt of earning their keep, we continue the fight to eliminate child labor. Governments all over the world support this call, and rightly so, because child labor and poverty are inevitably bound together. A developed economy apparently translates into less child workers. If we all continue to take comprehensive action, the goal of achieving zero incidence of child labor will not only be an end in itself, but results in real global development and growth. Our country specifically remains committed to protect the best interests of every child. Every child deserves to play, laugh, and learn. We owe it to our children, the most vulnerable citizens of our society, that they live lives free of fear, violence, and hunger. If we take the cudgels in protecting children from all forms of abuse, our collective efforts will surely not have gone in vain. I am Angela Librado Trinidad, and I stand against child labor.
Isang virtual palakpakan po para sa ating magigiting at pinakamamahal na mga...
And I stand against child labor.
Isang virtual palakpakan po para sa ating magigiting at pinakamamahal na mga ina. Deserve po ng ating mga nanay ang mga ina i-flood ang heart at care icons po para sa kanila. The civil society and youth organizations have a vital role to play in reducing election-related conflicts. Siyempre po, ito na yung dynamics and promoting a peaceful electoral environment. At isa nga dito ang Ateneo de Davao University Blue Vote. Blue Vote is Ateneo de Davao University's engagement for national and local elections in the country. Narito po si Mr. Ramon Baleno III, ang head ng ADU Blue Vote, to enlighten us on how Blue Vote continues to empower the youth to actively and effectively use their influences to make a positive change in the community.
The biggest question we have for 2022 is that why we should engage the youth in 2022 elections. 2022 election is very important, especially that we might have three or four elections, the national, the local, the barangay elections, and possibly the BARM elections. So the question is, why should we engage the youth? Now, my presentation is divided into two. First is, how do we make our choices? How do the youth make their choices? And second is, how do we make our choices count? So on the first part is that, what is the importance of youth vote? In fact, in 2019, there was a question, is there really a youth vote? Okay. Now, if you try to look at statistics, there are 20 million youth voters, now that's 18 to 30 years old, comprising, that would be 37% of the youth sector. Sorry, Philippine youth sector is 37% of the total number of registered voters. Now, if you try to look, you compare that with the other sectors, then you would probably observe that the youth sector, okay, the 37% is really, really large. Okay. Now, the problem is, since the time that we have been monitoring elections, there is really no exact youth vote, primarily because the youth might be divided on who they are choosing, or maybe they are not really that participative in the elections. So we will try now to reconsider what are the of choosing. Okay? So there are actually four. You have territorial, patronage, personality, policy, and platform. That means these are the things that the youth considers when they actually do their vote or when they cast their vote. Okay? When we say territorial, that means that voters would usually vote on candidates that coming from their locality. Like, for example, in this case, in 2016, they said that the most formidable tandem would be a Duterte-Marcos tandem, because Duterte having a control over the South vote, while Marcos is controlling the North vote. So yan sinasabi nila na solid North and South. Even in fact, in the recent survey, you will observe that the number 1 and 2 in the presidential candidates, possible presidential candidates, would be Duterte, Mayor Inday Sara, and of course, Bongbong Marcos. Again, that explains the territoriality of voting behavior. Another factor in affecting voting behavior would be patronage. In fact, patronage is the strongest link between voters and candidates. Patronage are those things that voters get from their candidates. Might be personal or something which is communal in nature. Now, there are two types of patronage, casework and vote buying. Casework is when politicians would actually provide you your what you actually need. Okay, so it may be personal. For example, pwedeng ito, no? Relief goods during times of disasters. Then scholarships, no? Especially on the youth. So scholarships considered as casework. That's why sometimes politicians would provide scholarships, not merely because they want to provide education to the youth, but because of the possible electoral support they will be getting from the family of the beneficiary of the scholarship. Of course, you have book givings, then you have infrastructural projects, no, concrete covered canals, then you have transportation. Of course, no, speaking of education, no, some of them would also provide the basic education materials. Okay, then some would provide medical assistance. Okay, then we also have vote buying. Vote buying usually happens during elections. Now, casework would happen even before elections or even after elections, because politicians know that they need the support even after the elections. So before and after. But vote buying usually happens during election period. That starts during the time that they submitted their certificate of candidacy until the canvassing of the votes. So of course, we all know what vote buying means, but it's not only monetary. Some of them will actually provide you some basic needs, even in fact, candies, vitamins, medicines, water supply, or even as simple as a wall clock. Okay. Then of course you have the usual relief operations. That's why every time that we have disasters, you actually notice that there are a lot of politicians providing support. Okay. Then aside from patronage, another strong factor in determining voting behavior would be personality. Okay? Now that will be looking at, well, possibly the family background. So if you notice, medyo pareho sila ng mga ng posing sa picture, okay? Trying to relate the son to his parents. Okay? We also have examples of candidates using, of course, some of the people na were connected to them in the past. Like for example, itong si Grace po, we know that Fernando Po Jr. ran for president in 2004. So Grace po ran for president in 2016. So medyo connected. Okay? Some politicians who want to be more popular for national positions would end up being connected with artists. Like for example, you have, well, Wilma and Ralph. Then you have Francis and Sharon, okay, Heart and Cheese. Then of course, Mar and Corina. Some experts believe that this did not happen by accident. Now, other politicians, although we find them very uniquely, very, very rich, would tend to be, would tend to personalize themselves or characterize themselves as being poor, so that they can actually relate to poor voters. A classic example of this is in 2010, Villar, Senator Villar, Senate President Villar, in 2010 is actually the richest, even now, he's the richest Filipino, but in 2010 elections, he perceived himself to be poor so that he can actually relate to poor voters. Majority of our voters consider themselves as poor. I think 54% of them would say that they are actually poor. So to be able to relate to them, some candidates would even say that they are poor, although they are very, very rich. Now, others would actually tend to look at skills or talents, right, or intellect. For example, you have Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago, who ran for president, I think, already thrice, but did not win. Pero of course, most of her followers would tend to idolize her because of her intellect. In fact, I think in 2016, many of the youth organizations would like to support her for president, although unfortunately she got sick, and she lost the elections. Aside from patronage, personality, and territoriality, Another factor in determining voting behavior would be the policy or platform. Now, very unfortunate that policy or platform is considered to be the least significant among Filipino voters. Hindi siya importante. In fact, during meeting the avance, usually Filipinos get bored, you know, whenever politicians would try to relate to their is Senator Jambi Madrigal. You know. Very ironic that in 1999 he was actually appointed by then President Erap Estrada, no, as the presidential advisor on children affairs. And in fact, no, she organized a lot of fora that would tend to, you know, help the children sector. And in 2001, she ran for Senate. You know. And on that time, when she ran, no, all of her platforms were actually exposed. No? Yun yung ginamit niya, platform siya. Wala siya masyadong ginagamit na patronage or personality. What happened is that she actually lost. Okay? So, in 2004, she ran again for Senate. Now, this time, gumamit siya ng artista. So, you'd remember Judy Ann Santos, no? Singing Jambi Madrigal's jingle, no, during campaign. Okay? So the biggest question that we have right now is, given the voting behavior of Filipinos, how can we unite the youth, no, into voting for someone who would represent the interests and the needs of the youth? Okay? So how do we do that, given our knowing the voting behavior of our people? Now, what we can do is actually focus on the issue voter. An issue voter is someone who elects a candidate based on the issues represented by the candidate. Ibig sabihin nito, kung tayo ay boboto ng kandidato, piliin natin, no, yung kandidato na magbibigay ng kasagutan dun sa mga issue ng ating kabataan sa ngayon. Okay? So that's actually the key, no? Having the youth addressing the issues. But before we can actually have that, so before we can actually have an issue voter, we must first address the question, what are the main issues of the youth right now? And we must be united on this issue. Okay? Now, aside from looking at the issues, we might also want to look at the possible personality or characteristic trait of the candidate. So titingnan din natin, no, kung meron ba talaga siyang heart, no, para sa youth sector, or baka sinasabi niya lang yun because he wanted to get the support of the youth sector. So we can also look, aside from the issues, we can also look if the politician or if the candidate has the capacity to actually concretize all those promises to the youth. Now, if we have already considered what issues are affecting us and who are the possible leaders that we can actually trust, no, in providing us the relief of those issues, then we can already choose who will be our candidate. Now, choosing is just the first part of the problem. If you remember, I said no, there's two parts in my presentation. The first part will be on choosing, and the second part will be on how actually we can register those choices. Okay? So dito, okay, now that we have made our choices, how do we make our choices count? So paano, no? What will be the role? No? Of course, we know that there are a lot of roles of civil society and youth organization in trying to maintain a clean and honest election. But how will civil society and youth organizations do that? Okay. Number one, of course, no, we cannot actually have a unified youth vote or a strong youth vote if we are not registered. So a civil society organization or a youth organization can actually promote, you know, registration, especially right now that it's very difficult, it's very challenging in times of the pandemic. So hopefully we can have a more systematic voter registration for the youth. Second would be on voters education. So organizations can have voters education in order to guide our youth, you know, on how to actually choose their leaders. Okay? Aside from voters education, we can during the election itself, we can actually be part of an organization that provides voters assistance or poll watching or even filing protests in case of observed violations. Now, not only that, we can also monitor what is happening after the election, after the votes has been counted. So magka-canvassing na, we can actually do that, monitoring the canvassing of votes. Okay? So after winners have already been declared, the last role that we will have is to make sure that our candidates would actually implement or would actually fulfill the promises they did during elections. So ito yung medyo mahirap ngayon. No? Until now, we are still finding ways to systematically make sure that the politicians who promised us heaven and earth during the time of the campaign period will be able to implement those promises. Ang tawag natin dyan is bantay pangako. So there we have how youth actually make their choices, and how we can actually protect those choices, how we can actually register and protect those choices, and hopefully we can be active in trying to make a better future for our youth, especially that our national hero would always say that the youth is the future of our nation. So thank you so much, and I hope that you learned something from my presentation.
And maraming salamat po Mr. Ramon Beleno ng Ateneo de Davao Blue Vote. Let's continue to make a generation of selfless, innovative, intelligent, and caring youth leaders. And with that, deserve na deserve po ng ating mga Blue Vote student volunteers ng like and heart icons. Ayan, pasend po ng like and heart icons para sa ating mga youth leaders. And good luck ha, and stay safe sa ating mga volunteers. And gusto lang po natin i-greet yung mga mommies na nanonood natin. Sabi po ni Mommy Mariel Gray, sabi niya, our kids deserve to play, laugh, and learn. And good afternoon din po sa ating mga Zoom participants na si Ma'am Flora Arellano ng INAT Philippines and si Miss Eileen Ilaga ng Educo. And syempre po, sa lahat po ng mga kawani and employees ng Department of Labor and Employment po na nanonood sa ating live streaming via Facebook page po ng BuildCA2P. Ayan. And hello din po sa INAT Philippines. Mula po ng formal nating inlunsad ang ating I Stand Against Child Labor campaign sa ating Labor Day virtual event, lubos po kaming natuwa talaga sa BuildCA2P dahil sa mainit po na pagtanggap ng ating mga kababayan sa ating kampanya na naglalayong makamit ang ating layunin ng 1 milyong batang malaya. Narito po, panoorin nating lahat.
It is the duty of every country to provide quality health and education to their children. But as we address the health and socio-economic effect of the pandemic, some families have prioritized making ends meet and have allowed their kids to work, putting their child's welfare and safety at risk. ChildFund Philippines #IStandAgainstChildLabor is a campaign that highlights the urgent need to take action and calls on governments and organizations in the country and around the world to do more.
In northern Mindanao, we stand against child labor.
We stand against child labor. Kami sa barangay Kahaponan among paligunon ang bisipisi para sa pagprotekta sa mga kabataan na membro sa child labor. Ako si Kapitan Albert Balbin, diri sa barangay Kahaponan, Valenza City. I stand against child labor.
I'm Glenford Cabañeros Labial, Senior Leo and Regional Focal Person of Child Labor Prevention and Elimination Program of the Department of Labor and Employment Regional Office Number 10. I stand against child labor.
Child labor practices deprive children of their holistic development and childhood and put them into further risks. Let us join hands together in helping children achieve their goals in life without jeopardizing their health, education, and safety. I am Joselito Nunez, Child Development and Protection Advocate, and I stand against child labor.
Kami ang mga personahe sa Santo Tomas Municipal Police Station and we stand against child labor.
Tulungan niyo po kami na paigtingin ang kampanya ng 1 milyong batang malaya laban sa child labor. Ako po si Paul Solcurites, Project Coordinator ng BuildCA2P Project. I stand against child labor.
In Northern Mindanao, we stand against child labor.
Hashtag against child labor. Kumpanya nga kinahanglan mahatagan og pagtagad nga maaksyonan sa atong pangagamhanan ug sa nagkalaing-laing ahensya. Iaghat na ako ang tanan nga magmadasigon sa kumpanya batok child labor. Ang atong kabataan karon mamahimong dagway sa umaabot nga barangay Silay. Ako si John Ryan L. Buslon, usa ka SK Chairman ug miyembro sa Community-Based Child Protection Group. I'll stand against child labor.
Isip usa ka leader sa kapatanunan, we are sure to help and support the needs of our young people in our barangay. Ako si Justin Mark Doldulao, ang SK Chairman sa Barangay Kapunan, Balisa City, Bukidnon, and I stand against child labor.
We stand against child labor.
We stand against child labor.
I stand against child labor.
We stand against child labor.
I stand against child labor.
Nagaingon yun kanuna nga, I stand against child labor.
We stand against child labor. No to child labor.
And I stand against child labor.
And I stand
Luis Saras,
child
isang lingkod bayan.
labor.
And I stand against
Representing
child labor.
Mindanao, I stand against
child labor.
They deserve to play, to study,
and
rest.
I stand against child labor.
A social worker, and I stand against child labor.
Please protect us from any form of abuses.
And I stand against child labor.
Urban poor, I stand against child
Ako si
labor.
Katrine Mubarog batok sa child labor.
I am Marian and I stand
Ako si
against...
Kiana Mubarog batok sa child labor.
I stand against child labor.
Saya, and I stand against child labor.
And I stand against child labor.
Denmark, and I stand against child labor.
Mubarog ko, batok sa child labor.
And I stand against child labor.
I encourage everyone to take a stand today and reaffirm our commitment for the next generation of Filipinos, because the children of today will make the Philippines of tomorrow. I am Catriona Gray, Miss Universe 2018 and NCCA Arts Ambassador. Join me in standing against child labor.
Ang gusto na ko tagaan og pagtagad sa mga leader, gusto na ko mapakusgan ang programa para sa panglawas sa kabataan.
Ang gusto na ko matagan og pagtagad sa mga leaders nga makaeskwela tanan bata, labi na tong nagalisod kay daghan bata nga dili pa ka-eskwela tungod sa kalisod.
Youth have the potential to significantly impact the outcome of elections. Strategies that encourage their participation can help further their influence. Narito po si ASEC Alexi Daniel Dayahirang ng National Youth Commission Commissioner representing Mindanao upang hikayatin ang ating mga kabataan to make a difference in government and society.
Maayong adlaw, good day. So, narito na naman tayo ngayon, malapit na ang ating eleksyon. And of course, this election is not just for the country, but it is also for our children, the future of our children. So, number one, I would like to invite everyone to go out and vote. And if you have not voted yet, of course, please register as a voter. Because under the Philippine Constitution, it is our right to suffrage. And this is very sacred because this right will be able to help us to choose the right leaders of our country. So who are our leaders? So these leaders are the ones na ilalagay natin or iluluklok natin sa posisyon kung saan sila yung tutulong sa ating komunidad, sa ating bansa. Especially this coming presidential election. So, malaki itong pagbabago, of course, but still, ang lagi natin iisipin is that ang importansya kung sino man yung pipiliin natin ay yung talaga kaya nilang itaguyod yung ating mga karapatan, especially ng ating mga kabataan. So sa lahat po ng ating pipiliin, lagi nating iisipin na yung mga taong yun ay dapat hindi lang magbigay ng serbisyo during campaign or during kampanya, but still they have to serve their constituents all throughout their terms. Kasi mahirap naman kasi if the ones that are we choosing are just good for the campaign period. But we have to choose the people, the right people who are not just privileged but also very responsible and have or has a heart of for service. Because politics is not an easy game. Actually, it is not a game, but it is a passion. It is you have to have a heart for this because public service is not an easy job. So dito sa politika, walang mayaman. But here, you have the capacity to help, to extend help sa lahat po nangangailangan. So in this registration period time, I would like to encourage everyone, especially yung mga kabataan natin ngayon, na let us go out and be registered. And on this coming elections, let us go out and vote and exercise our right, our sovereign right to suffrage. So makikita natin na madami nang lumalabas ngayon, going out, nagpapakitang gilas na sila, but still always remember, do a background check on how these people help during the trying times, especially now that we have this COVID-19 pandemic. So itong COVID-19 pandemic has brought us a lot of problems, starting from the scarcity of food, unemployment, and our health problems. And makikita natin yung mga taong tumutulong talaga at hindi natakot na mag-extend ng tulong nila kahit pa na pandemya. So ito yung mga importanteng bagay na ating tutukan kung sino man yung pipiliin natin ngayong darating na eleksyon. And of course, let us always think of the future, kung ano yung maidudulot nila sa ating komunidad, sa ating bansa. And of course, isipin din natin yung mga kumbaga kaya nila tayong ipaglaban sa kongreso, sa council, o saan mang level na kailangan na ipaglaban ang karapatan ng Pilipino, karapatan ng kabataan, karapatan ng mga bata, karapatan ng mga senior citizen, karapatan ng mga iba't ibang tao, kumbaga in all walks of life. So my message to everyone is really to choose the people who are really who you think that are who deserves to be there. Kumbaga yung mga nakita natin na merong potensyal dahil hindi naman natin gusto in the future na pagdating doon is magsisisihan tayo kung bakit yun sila ang ating iniluklok sa kanilang mga posisyon. So this is the time, but for now, let us go out and register. So the COMELEC has extended the registration, and even on Saturdays, meron po tayong registration, and the forms are downloadable online. And hindi na to ganito kahirap and mabilis yung ating mga transaksyon ngayon. So ngayon, we are trying to save this country. We are trying to continue what good has been started by this administration. So to everyone, thank you so much again for inviting me to share a little message with regards to our coming elections. But let us not waste our chance to vote and our chance to be a registered voter. So, good day, maayong hapon, maayong buntag. Daghang salamat. I am your commissioner representing Mindanao in behalf of the National Youth Commission. Stay safe, amping. Daghang salamat.
Maraming salamat po, ASEC Dayanghirang National Youth Commission. Young people gain new skills when they become engaged politically and they learn to take on greater responsibility. They gain a sense of their unique abilities to make a difference. And with that, padalan po natin ng like and care icons ang ating mga kabataan who will make a difference sa ating bansa. Kilala natin siya bilang idol dahil sa pagsusulong niya sa kahalagahan ng sektor ng agrikultura dito sa ating bansa. Pero lingid sa ating kaalaman na marami pa na siyang naranasan niyang mga pait at hirap bilang isang child laborer. Narito po ang inspiring journey ng ating Pinoy Big Brother Celebrity Edition Season 2 Big Winner Adring Ruben Gonzaga.
Ayun, mayong hapon kaninyong tanan, no? Mayong hapon, Ma'am Michelle. O siyempre sa atong mga nagalantaw karon mayong hapon. Ako ang experience sa ako ang kaniadto nga nahimo po kung nakagiwan po ning child labor, no. Kumbaga diri nako na-experience ang kanagani makaingong ka nga isuda po sa kinabuhi oy nganong maningkamot man ko nga naamang ko nanay tatay. Pero ang sa kuha manggod gatong part way back mga siguro nag-start ko ana mga grade 3, grade 4 something ana. Sa palengke mo ko nagdako. So mao na nga na-involved jud ko mamaligyaw silupin, mo karga sa mga pamalito sa mga tao kanang malingki. Then nagbantay ko og kaning manukan livestock section diri sa may Agdaw Public Market nga akong uncle ra pod ang natag-iya pero wala ang sa kuha nga part ato manggod mura manggod so nahimo siyang training pud nako no at sa labor kay dili man pud dili ang kato nga experience pud nako nga nahitabo sa kuha nga life kanang sayo ka mata sa buntag alas 4 ka mata sa buntag unya pagkahuman muuli ka pag kay eskwela man ka unya pagkahuman after ana eskwela mubalik na pud ka pagkahapon kay mo trabaho na sad ka. So mga nana, gibuhat na ko na hantod nga nag-high school ko, mag-brush sa mga kulungan, manilhig sa mga iti, unya pagkahuman, magkatay og manok para magkakwarta ko. And later on, mawala itong gingon ako na aside sa mga na-experience na ko to, daghan kog mga questions sa ako ang life ato nga time nga nganong ginabuhat man ako ni nganong naningkamot man ko nganong manarbaho man ko nga bata pa man ko kayo para ani no sobra para sa ko amura og kanaganing nakoy nay mga pangutana sa una nga dili ko makatubag which is dili pa kay nako siya masabtan pero ma-enjoy po nako siguro ang mga naka-experience sa child labor tungod kay naay maangkon nga kwarta ang bata man god pagatagaan nimong kwarta maski pampalit na lang og candy lipay na sila pero wala nila gitan-aw ang katong kahago nga grabe no kanaganing nipas-an ka na diha nagkarga na ka diha nagpasingot na kadiya tungod kay ang tanaw sa bata mura sa daog nagdula ako pod ato nga time mura pud ka nang na-enjoy ko ba nga nang mura ra ko nagdula mura ra ko nagingunani pero wala dai ko kabalo nga child labor na dito nahitabo sa kuha pero in spite of everything nga kana na nahitabo sa kuha wala na ko siya gitan-aw na mura og kanang hindrance sa ako ang dream wala na ko gitan-aw nga mao nay makapababag kanako no kana nga experience as a child labor nga nahimo na nako to siyang motivation inspiration na nako to siya nga pwede na ko hugutan nga pwede na ko makaingon ko Lord mao dito ang ako ang mao dito ang pagpasabot nimo sa ko ano nga kung maka-experience man lay ko ato moabot ang panahon nga ako ang gyapon tong magamit pero ang nakanindot man god katong nga time nigawas ko sa akong comfort zone nigawas ko as wala lang ko nagunaw na nga mahimo lang kong laborer ani dili pwede nga diri lang ko dili pwede nga ngani lang ko ang ako is dahatagan ko og paglaom which is katong nag-eskwela nako abot na ko high school dito na open ang mind importante gyud ang education no importante ang education mga organization nga motabang sa imuha nga dili lang kataman sa pagkaingunani dili lang ka laborer dili lang ka manarbaho as upasan ka naa kay talento imo nang gamiton dito na isa na sa way nako nganong naabot ko ani sa entertainment industry naabot ko sa tawag gani kining TVB nahimo tang production staff sa ABS-CBN then wala damha no wala damha nga as a child labor na ginahinay nahimo sa eskwelahan og kanang actor kanang stage play then nahimo og kanang staff sa ABS-CBN, nahimo kung on-cam talent sa ABS-CBN, then after that, nahimo pud siya nga naabot to sa nasyonal. Mahimo lang yung ka nga kuan kanang willing lang ka motuon. Isa sa nag-motivate sa kuha is katong mga tao nga nintabang sa kuha. Ang katong mga tao nga nagsalig sa imuha. Mao nang imong tan-awon, lantawon nimo na. Kung natay makit-an na mga child labor katong mga bata nga nananarbaho karon, kung mas maayo nga pwede nato silang tabangan or pwede po nato silang isugyot diha sa atong gobyerno, barangay ba nato karon, municipality ba nato karon, na mahatagan og aksyon or kung dili man mahatagan og aksyon, pwede sa personal ta motabang. Ang gikinahanglan ng manggod sa bata sama nako na child labor, ang gikinahanglan is comfort. Pero importante do nga kinahanglan po nimo mo eskwela. Ang dili ta mawad anong paglaom. Magpadayon ta sa ato ang pagpugi, magpadayon ta sa ato ang mga pangandoy sa kinabuhi. Kung sa imong talent, go for that, no? Ayaw lang lubog diha sa imong gikahimutngan karon. Gawas po diha, explore the life nga naa nimo karon. Kay dili lang ingon nga gibutang ka sa Ginoo diha para lang ka diha. Gibutang ka sa Ginoo diha para mo grow ka. Thank you so much for having me here. Nga unta daghan ta og mga nakatunan, and the wisdom of God is maangkod yan nato every day. Salamat and God bless kayo sa inyong tanan.
Maraming salamat sa pagbahagi ng iyong karanasan, Kaagring Ruben. Tunay ngang isa kang big winner dahil sa iyong pagsisikap at pananalig sa may kapal upang maging matagumpay sa buhay. Hindi lang yan dahil isang generous din talaga masyado si Ruben sa pagbabahagi ng kanyang karunungan para sa ating mga kabataan. Kaya naman deserve ni Ruben ang isang virtual palakpakan at syempre, heart icons po. Ngayon naman po ay formal po nating ilulunsad ang ating Pledge of Support for a Child Labor-Free Philippines. Isa po itong online and offline campaign to show public support for a collected effort to end child labor. Narito po si Ms. Belia Eustaquio, ang ating BuildCA2P Project Head, para tunghayan po o pangunahan po ang ating formal launch. Inaanyayahan din po namin kayong lahat na i-on po ang inyong mga camera at sabay-sabay nating bigkasin ang ating Pledge of Commitment.
Magandang hapon, Michelle, at magandang hapon po sa ating mga guests at participants sa hapon na to. Every child deserves the chance to reach their full potential, and no child should be exploited and involved in worse forms of child labor. According to the International Labor Organization reports in 2017, worldwide, there are 152 million child laborers, where 73 million of it, or 48%, are in hazardous work. According to the United States Department of Labor report on findings the worst forms of child labor, in 2019, there are 3.2 million Filipino child laborers ages 5 to 17, and there are about 3 million of it are engaged in hazardous work. The same report showed that some of these children are engaged in dangerous work in agriculture. Year 2021 marks the International Year for the Elimination of Child Labor. This year, the international community stands at the midway point to achieve the Sustainable Development Goal to end child labor by 2025. This calls for concerted efforts to act, especially the duty bearers in all sectors, plus the concerned individuals, to extend each one's contribution to support and accomplish one or combination of the following. First, raise awareness and educate individuals and communities to protect and safeguard our children. Second, through advocacy, strengthens the systems and program for the protection of children against child labor, and that is based on research and evidence-based information. Third, implement programs and policies that will help families to withdraw and prevent their children from child labor. Fourth, integrate child labor concerns across broader policies for health, education, and social protection, and foster collaboration with development organizations and other competent bodies on the implementation of the United Nations on the Convention on the Rights of Children and the ILO Convention 138 and 182 and Republic Act 9231 and other related laws. With this, we are calling everyone to join ChildFund BuildCA2P Project in I Stand Against Child Labor campaign. Your expression of support can be demonstrated by signing a pledge of commitment that we will circulate through change.org. May I read to you the pledge of commitment that we encourage you to sign? So we, name of your agency, office, and individual, supports the Philippine government as signatory to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child to ensure that children grow up in safe environment, protected from violence and any forms of exploitation. We and I, the partners of this endeavor, uphold our purpose to promote the rights and well-being of children towards promoting acceptable condition support through the support of ChildFund BuildCA2P Project, civil society organization partners, government line agencies, local government units, NGOs, academe, private sectors, and all stakeholders. I and we always recognize that the success of this campaign to end child labor in the Philippines lies in our commitment and action as individual or as an organization. This partnership of collaboration and commitment to end child labor in the country will contribute to the goal to achieve 1 million Batang Malaya by 2025. Therefore, we are one in transpiring the dream of every child to be cared for and protected, be educated, and achieve their full potential for a promising future. Help us create and spread awareness in protecting our children against child labor. Magandang hapon po, mayong hapon sa ating lahat.
Maraming salamat po, Ms. Bell. Iniimbitahan po namin ang lahat ng ating mga partner agencies, organizations, at lahat ng mga nanunood po sa ating virtual show ngayong hapon na samahan niyo po kami sa ating kampanya upang tuluyang wakasan ang child labor. Maaari rin po kayong lumahok sa ating kampanya sa pamamagitan ng pagbisita at paglagda sa ating Pledge of Commitment sa www.change.org. Isang pamilya po tayo sa pagsisikap na makamit ang ating layunin na 1 milyong Batang Malaya sa child labor. Pasend naman po ng like icons as a sign of your support sa ating kampanya for a child labor-free Philippines. Maraming salamat po! And speaking of supporting children, let's make our children shine brighter sa pagsali sa ating poster making contest. Narito po, panoorin natin lahat.
Mga bata, ibida na ang inyong talento sa pag-drawing. Sali na sa ating BuildCA2P Poster Making Contest. Our poster making contest is open to all children 18 years old below. Participants can create visual artwork that will raise awareness, inspire action, and emphasize the urgent need to address child labor. The poster must illustrate, interpret, and emphasize the theme of BuildCA2P Labor Day celebration, saving children from hazardous work. Participants may use pencil, ballpen, pencil pen, and coloring materials in making their artworks. Posters must be done in freehand. Each participant should submit one entry only. Participant must submit a photo of his or her artwork on or before May 30, 2021. We encourage originality and authenticity of the design. Posters will be judged according to the following criteria. The winner will receive school and art materials from BuildCA2P. Winner will be announced on June 12, 2021. Don't be afraid to let your talent shine brightly. Join na!
And abangan din po ninyo ang ating bagong inspiring stories ng ating ibibida sa ating Season 3 ng ating munting programang Batang Bida ngayong buwan na mapapanood din po sa ating Facebook page ng BuildCA2P. And gusto lang po natin i-greet si Naira Villa from Iloilo City. Kumusta po kayo dyan, Ma'am Naira? Salamat po sa panunood ng ating munting programa this afternoon. And syempre, sabay-sabay po natin ipagdiwang ang isang makabuluhang paraan ang World Day Against Child Labor sa June 12 po yan. samahan niyo po ang ChildFund Philippines, ang ating mga partner agencies, lalo na po ang Department of Labor and Employment, para sa isang espesyal na virtual event na mapapanood po dito rin sa ating programa, sa ating Facebook page, sa BuildCA2P. And watch out po for our series of activities na pangungunahan din po ng BuildCA2P leading to our celebration on June 12. Kaya don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to our BuildCA2P Facebook page and also our YouTube channel to know more and how you can take part sa ating makabuluhang pagpapaalala sa International Year of the Elimination of Child Labor at pagkamit ng layuning 1 milyong batang malaya. Ayan, kaya po maraming salamat po sa lahat ng mga nag-join sa atin this afternoon mula po sa Hauman, Kaanib, Kaugmaon, syempre sa ChildFund Philippines, meron po rin tayo sa Tagadole, COMELEC, maraming salamat po, ang Ateneo de Davao University, sa National Youth Commission, AgriBest Youth, maraming salamat po sa inyo, at sa INET Philippines, EDUCO, at sa lahat po ng mga nakatutok sa ating virtual event, lalong-lalo na po sa ating Facebook page. Election season gave us the opportunity as a country to think about the issues that are important to all of us. Regardless of where you sit politically, let's all agree we want our kids to grow up healthy and thrive. Ako po si Michelle Robin, ChildFund BuildCA2P Advocacy and Communications Officer, and I stand against child labor. Good afternoon and thank you very much.